Chapter 1, Owl Post. In this chapter, we see Harry Potter spend his summer holiday with the Dursleys, where things have not been easy for him. Forbidden to talk to anyone outside of the house for fear of exposing his magical abilities, Harry has been left alone to do his summer homework without any magical supplies. He has been sneaking books upstairs to study magic at night while his aunt and uncle are out, being very careful not to get caught. The only improvement in his relationship with the Dursleys is that they have allowed him to let his owl out at night. On Harry's 13th birthday, he receives gifts and letters from Ron, Hermione, and Hagrid. Ron tells him that his family is in Egypt, and that Percy has been named head boy. Hermione is in France with her parents, and both she and Ron plan to be in London before the start of term to get their school supplies. Hagrid's letter hints that the book he sent Harry will come in handy next term, but he wants it to be a surprise. Additionally, Harry receives a letter from Professor McGonagall allowing third years to visit Hogsmeade, but they need permission from the Guardian. This chapter sets up the events leading up to the start of Harry's third year at Hogwarts. We see Harry trying to balance his magical studies while living with the Dursleys, and we learn about the whereabouts and plans of his friends. The letters and gifts he receives build anticipation for the start of the school year, as well as hinting at some surprises to come. Overall, this chapter sets the stage for the adventures and challenges that Harry will face in the coming year. Chapter 2, Aunt Marge's Big Mistake. In this chapter, Harry Potter continues to spend his summer holiday with the Dursleys, who forbid him from talking to the neighbors and have confiscated his magical supplies. Despite this, Harry sneaks some of his books upstairs to work on his summer homework. On his 13th birthday, Harry receives letters and gifts from his friends Ron, Hermione, and Hagrid, and learns that they will all be in London to buy their school supplies soon. He also receives a permission form to visit the wizarding village of Hogsmeade, which requires a guardian's signature. The next morning, Harry overhears a news report about an escaped convict named Sirius Black, who looks uncannily like him. Uncle Vernon's sister, Marge, arrives to visit for a week, and Harry agrees to behave normally during her stay in exchange for his uncle signing his permission form to visit Hogsmeade. However, Marge insults Harry's parents, and he loses his temper and accidentally inflates her, causing her to explode. Fearing expulsion from Hogwarts, Harry packs his school things and decides to run away. In the final part of the chapter, Harry leaves the Dursleys' home and wanders the streets, unsure of where to go. He encounters a large, black dog that seems to be following him and later finds himself at the Leaky Cauldron, a wizarding inn. There, he meets the Minister of Magic, Cornelius Fudge, and Professor Filius Flitwick, who persuade him to return to Hogwarts and promise to protect him from Sirius Black. Harry agrees and starts his third year at Hogwarts, wondering about the truth behind the escaped convict and his connection to his own past. Chapter 3, The Night Bus. In this chapter, Harry wakes up to find out that Sirius Black, an escaped convict, is on the loose. Uncle Vernon's sister, Marge, is also coming to visit, so Harry has to send his owl Hedwig away to avoid her knowing about his wizarding abilities. Marge's visit turns out to be disastrous when she insults Harry's deceased parents, leading to Harry accidentally inflating her like a balloon. Fearing he will be expelled from Hogwarts, Harry decides to run away and packs his belongings. As Harry walks down Magnolia Crescent, he sees a black dog staring at him. Startled, Harry falls over, and the night bus, a triple-decker bus designed for wizard transportation, arrives. On the bus, Harry meets the driver, Ernie Prang, and the conductor, Stan Shunpike. Harry learns from the Daily Prophet that Sirius Black, a follower of Lord Voldemort, has escaped from Azkaban, the wizard prison. Harry travels on the night bus to the Leaky Cauldron in London, where he meets the Minister for Magic, Cornelius Fudge, and learns that Marge has been restored to normal and her memory modified. Fudge doesn't take any action against Harry for accidentally using magic, but he also refuses to sign Harry's Hogsmeade permission slip. Harry is given a room at the Leaky Cauldron for the rest of the summer, but he cannot leave without adult supervision. Disappointed that he cannot go to Hogsmeade with his friends, Harry spends his days exploring Diagon Alley and the wizarding world. He also reads about Sirius Black, who is believed to be after Harry. As the summer wears on, Harry grows increasingly restless, eager to return to Hogwarts and learn more about his past and the magical world. Chapter 4: The Leaky Cauldron. In this chapter, Harry spends the last few days of his summer holidays in Diagon Alley, getting his school supplies and avoiding unnecessary purchases. He also meets up with Ron, Hermione, and the Weasley family who are staying at the Leaky Cauldron. Hermione buys a cat named Crookshanks, much to Ron's annoyance, as the cat constantly harasses Ron's pet rat Scabbers. During the night, Harry overhears a conversation between Ron's parents, Arthur and Molly Weasley, revealing that Black, the escaped convict, is trying to kill Harry. It is also revealed that Black lost everything when Voldemort was defeated, and now seeks revenge. Harry realizes that Fudge only let him off because he was relieved to find Harry alive, rather than taking his safety seriously. Despite this revelation, Harry remains unconcerned about Black, confident in Dumbledore's protection at Hogwarts. The chapter sets up the tension for the upcoming school year as Harry learns of Black's intentions towards him. It also introduces Crookshanks, who will play a significant role in the story, as well as highlighting the strained relationship between Ron and Hermione due to their differing opinions on magical pets. Overall, the chapter provides important background information and builds anticipation for the events to come. Chapter 5: The Dementor. In this chapter, Harry, Ron, and Hermione board the Hogwarts Express and meet their new defense against the dark arts teacher, Professor Remus Lupin. However, the journey is disrupted by the appearance of a Dementor, which sucks the happiness out of Harry and causes him to faint. Lupin saves Harry by driving the Dementor away, and they learn that the creature was searching for Sirius Black, who is believed to be after Harry. At Hogwarts, the students are informed that Dementors will be stationed around the school as a precaution. McGonagall takes Harry and Hermione to her office to discuss Harry's adverse reaction to the Dementor. She then sends them to Madame Pomfrey, the school matron, to ensure that Harry is not ill. Harry and Hermione later return to the Great Hall, where they discover that they missed the sorting ceremony. Dumbledore announces that Professor Lupin and Hagrid, who is now the Care of Magical Creatures teacher, will be joining the staff. Dumbledore also informs the students that Black has escaped from Azkaban and that Dementors will be stationed around the school to protect them. This chapter sets the stage for the rest of the book, as the threat of Sirius Black and the Dementors looms over the Hogwarts students. It also introduces Lupin, who will play an important role in Harry's life throughout the book. Additionally, it reinforces the theme of the importance of love and happiness, as Harry's encounter with the Dementor highlights the importance of positive emotions and the dangers of losing them. Chapter 6: Talons and Tea Leaves. In this chapter, Harry, Ron, and Hermione attend their first day of lessons at Hogwarts. They have a divination class with Sybil Trelawny, where they learn how to read tea leaves to predict future events. Harry becomes worried when he sees a black dog in his teacup, which Trelawny identifies as the Grim, an omen of death. In their Transfiguration class, Professor McGonagall reassures Harry that Trelawny has made many predictions, but none have come true. During their Care of Magical Creatures lesson, Hagrid teaches them about hippogriffs, and Harry successfully rides Buckbeak, a grey hippogriff. However, Malfoy insults Buckbeak, causing the creature to attack him and slash his arm with its talons. Hagrid is afraid he will be blamed for the incident, and Harry and his friends offer to help clear Buckbeak's name. In the end, Hagrid becomes angry with Harry for leaving the castle after dark, and he escorts the trio back to their tower. Throughout this chapter, Harry and his friends experience a range of emotions as they attend classes and learn about new creatures. Harry's fear of the Grim and his concern for Hagrid's well-being illustrate the importance of friendship and standing up for what is right. The events in this chapter also lay the foundation for future conflicts and character development. Chapter 7: The Boggart in the Wardrobe. In this chapter, Malfoy returns to Hogwarts with a heavily bandaged arm and hints that Black, the notorious killer, may be connected to Harry's past. In defense against the dark arts, Lupin teaches the third-year students about boggarts, shape-shifters that take the form of a person's worst fear. When it is Harry's turn to confront the boggart, he is sure it will turn into a Dementor, but Lupin intervenes and repels the boggart for him. Harry is disappointed that Lupin did not allow him to face the boggart, thinking that Lupin does not believe he is capable of the task. The chapter also reveals that Black has been sighted near Hogwarts, causing widespread panic among students and staff. However, Lupin appears to know more about Black than he is willing to let on. Meanwhile, tensions continue to rise between Harry and Malfoy, who seems to be relishing in the attention he is receiving from his injury. Despite the looming threat of Black's presence, Harry begins to feel more comfortable at Hogwarts as he becomes more confident in his abilities as a wizard. Chapter 8, Flight of the Fat Lady. In this chapter, the Gryffindor Quidditch team prepares for the upcoming Quidditch season. Oliver Wood, the team captain, is determined to win the Quidditch Cup before he graduates from Hogwarts. Meanwhile, Harry is not allowed to join the other third years on their visit to Hogsmeade on Halloween because his uncle did not sign his permission form. Harry spends the day in Lupin's office, where Lupin tells him that he did not let Harry face the boggart in class because he did not want it to take the form of Lord Voldemort. Later that day, Ron and Hermione return from Hogsmeade to find the portrait of the Fat Lady slashed and the Fat Lady missing. Peeves tells them that he saw Sirius Black attack her after she refused to let him into Gryffindor Tower. Dumbledore, Argus Filch, and Percy search for her, but she is nowhere to be found. The incident causes concern among the Hogwarts community, as Black's presence at Hogwarts becomes more and more threatening. Chapter 9, Grim Defeat. In this chapter, the students are moved to the Great Hall while the teachers search the castle for Sirius Black. Despite their efforts, they find no evidence of Black's presence, and Snape suggests that someone inside the castle helped him gain entry. Dumbledore, however, disagrees with this theory. The looming threat of Black dominates everyone's thoughts for the next few days, and the Fat Lady refuses to return to her post as the entrance to Gryffindor Tower until he is caught. Dumbledore replaces her with Sir Cadogan, the Mad Knight, much to the annoyance of the Gryffindor students. Meanwhile, Harry is placed under surveillance, and even Percy Weasley follows him everywhere he goes. Gryffindor's first Quidditch match is approaching, but due to Malfoy's injury, they must play against Hufflepuff instead of the usual rivals, Slytherin. Lupin falls ill the day before the match, and Snape teaches his classes for him, assigning an essay on werewolves instead of following the syllabus. During the match, Harry sees a black dog resembling the Grim in the stands, and Dementors appear, causing him to faint and fall from his broomstick. Dumbledore saves Harry, but his Nimbus 2000 broomstick is destroyed. Hufflepuff ultimately wins the match, and Harry learns that Oliver Wood has declined a rematch against them. Chapter 10, The Marauders Map. In this chapter, Madame Pomfrey insists that Harry stays in the hospital wing after he is badly affected by the Dementors. Lupin is back teaching the following week, and Harry approaches him to ask why the Dementors affect him so much. Lupin explains that the Dementors are fear itself and that they bring forth the horrors from a person's past. Harry asks Lupin if he can teach him the spell to drive off Dementors. Lupin agrees, but only after the Christmas holidays. During the next Quidditch match, Hufflepuff is defeated by Ravenclaw, giving Gryffindor a chance to win the Quidditch Cup. Harry is looking for a new broomstick to help the team. During the last weekend before the holidays, Harry is not allowed to visit Hogsmeade, but Fred and George give him the Marauders map as a Christmas present. The map shows Hogwarts' secret passages, and Harry uses it to sneak into Hogsmeade. Harry meets Ron and Hermione in Honeydukes, and they overhear a conversation between Cornelius Fudge, Minerva McGonagall, Phileas Flitwick, Rubeus Hagrid, and Madame Rosmerta about Harry's godfather, Sirius Black. It is revealed that Black was a childhood friend of Harry's father, James, and that he was Harry's godfather. Dumbledore had advised the Potters to go into hiding using the Fidelius charm, and James Potter had insisted on using Sirius Black as their secret keeper. However, Black sold out the Potters to Voldemort, resulting in the deaths and forcing Black to run away. Ron and Hermione are shocked by the revelation, and Harry is devastated. Chapter 11, The Firebolt. In this chapter, Harry is still struggling with the revelation about Sirius Black and how he betrayed his parents. He is also haunted by nightmares about the Dementors and his mother's screams. Ron and Hermione try to console him, but he chooses to go to Hagrid's house to inquire about Black. There, they find Hagrid preparing for Buckbeak's hearing before the Committee for the Disposal of Dangerous Creatures. Hagrid is distraught about the upcoming trial, and Harry decides not to bring up Black. Hagrid reveals his terrifying experience with the Dementors in Azkaban, making it impossible for him to set Buckbeak free without risking his own return to the prison. The trio decides to help Hagrid prepare his defense for Buckbeak's case. Meanwhile, Harry receives a Firebolt broomstick as a Christmas present, which he believes will help Gryffindor in the remaining Quidditch matches. However, Hermione suspects the broomstick could be jinxed and reports it to Professor McGonagall. At Christmas dinner, McGonagall informs Hermione that the broomstick is safe, and it is revealed that it was actually a gift from Sirius Black, which makes Hermione even more suspicious. As the chapter ends, Hermione and McGonagall wonder if Black has evil intentions towards Harry and if he could be using the broomstick as a way to harm him. Chapter 12, The Patronus. In this chapter, Harry's anger towards Hermione for reporting his Firebolt gift to Professor McGonagall causes a rift between the trio, as Ron is also upset with Hermione for Crookshank's continued attacks on Scabbers. Meanwhile, Harry begins his lessons with Lupin and learns about the Patronus charm, which can repel Dementors. During his training, Harry discovers that Lupin knew his father and Sirius Black from their time at Hogwarts. Harry becomes proficient in casting the charm, but is not a master yet. Lupin also explains that Black's punishment for his crimes will be the Dementor's kiss, which horrifies Harry. In January, Slytherin beats Ravenclaw in a Quidditch match, leaving Gryffindor's chances of winning the Quidditch Cup intact, as long as they don't lose their match against Ravenclaw. By February, Harry is given back his Firebolt, which has been confirmed to be safe. After making up with Ron, Harry tries to reconcile with Hermione, but their efforts are interrupted when Neville loses a list of Gryffindor Tower passwords. At the end of the chapter, Scabbers disappears, preventing any chance for reconciliation between the trio. Hermione is also still concerned about Sirius Black, as she believes that he may have been the one to send Harry the Firebolt as part of a plot to harm him. Chapter 13, Gryffindor vs. Ravenclaw. In this chapter, a new Quidditch match is approaching, Gryffindor vs. Ravenclaw. Harry spends the last practice session getting used to his Firebolt. During the game, just as Harry is about to catch the snitch, he sees 3 Dementors in the stands after Cho Chang, the Ravenclaw Seeker, screams. Harry reacts quickly and sends a Patronus to the Dementors. He catches the snitch before Cho Chang and wins the match. Lupin compliments Harry on his Patronus, and they later discover that the Dementors were actually Draco Malfoy, Vincent Crabbe, Gregory Goyle, and Marcus Flint trying to sabotage Harry. Professor McGonagall punishes them with detention and takes 50 points away from Slytherin. The Gryffindors celebrate their victory until Professor McGonagall sends them to bed. However, Ron still refuses to reconcile with Hermione. Later that night, Ron wakes up to find Sirius Black slashing his bed curtains in the boys' dormitory. Although everyone thinks it might be a nightmare, the curtains are indeed ripped, and Sir Cadogan admits that he let Sirius Black into Gryffindor Tower. Black apparently had the whole week's passwords on a piece of paper. Furious, Professor McGonagall demands to know who wrote down the passwords, and Neville admits responsibility. The chapter ends with the revelation that Sirius Black has entered Hogwarts, leaving the students and teachers feeling vulnerable and fearful. Dumbledore insists on increasing security measures, and Harry, Ron, and Hermione become more determined to find out why Black is after Harry. Chapter 14, Snape's Grudge. In this chapter, Gryffindor and Ravenclaw face off in a Quidditch match, which Harry wins despite Slytherin's attempt to sabotage him. Harry's victory comes with a cost, however, as he learns that his triumph against the Dementors was actually a trick played by 4 Slytherin students. Meanwhile, Ron and Hermione's feud continues, and Neville loses his visitation rights to Hogsmeade after admitting to losing the castle's passwords. In an effort to reconcile Harry and Ron with Hermione, Hagrid invites them to tea and informs them of Hermione's concern for Harry's safety from Sirius Black. Despite their best efforts to make amends, Ron's anger flares up again when Hermione threatens to report Harry for sneaking into Hogsmeade using the Marauders map. Later, Harry and Ron sneak into the Shrieking Shack with the invisibility cloak and come across Malfoy, Crabbe, and Goyle, leading to a confrontation. The chapter ends with the news that the Ministry has decided to execute Buckbeak, despite Hermione's help in defending him. Lupin confiscates the Marauders map from Harry and Ron, and scolds Harry for his recklessness and undervaluing his parents' sacrifice. The tension between Harry, Ron, and Hermione continues to mount, as they face increasing challenges and dangers at Hogwarts. Chapter 15, The Quidditch Final. In this chapter, the friends reconcile after Buckbeak's impending execution causes Ron to promise to help Hermione file an appeal for his case. Hermione smacks Malfoy in the face and drops out of divination class. Gryffindor makes it to the Quidditch Final against Slytherin, with Harry needing to catch the Golden Snitch in order to win the Quidditch Cup. On the day of the match, Harry catches another glimpse of the dog, this time with Crookshanks. During the match, Slytherin cheats, and this results in Gryffindor getting penalty shots and gaining a further lead. Harry catches the snitch at the right moment, allowing Gryffindor to come in first in the overall points and win the Quidditch Cup. The win helps boost morale among the Gryffindor house, and Ron and Hermione's relationship becomes even closer. They begin to work together to free Buckbeak, with Hermione focusing on the legal side of things and Ron gathering signatures of people who support their cause. Meanwhile, Hermione's dropping out of divination causes her to have more free time, which she uses to research and prepare for Buckbeak's appeal. The Quidditch win also gives Harry a boost, as he feels more confident and satisfied with himself. Chapter 16, Professor Trelawney's Prediction. In this chapter, the end-of-year exams are taking place at Hogwarts, and Buckbeak's appeal is scheduled for the final day of the exams. Trelawney makes a genuine prediction that Voldemort's servant will return to him that night, and Voldemort will rise to full power stronger than before. Despite this, Buckbeak's appeal fails, and the Ministry of Magic decides to execute him. Later that night, Harry, Ron, and Hermione use Harry's invisibility cloak to visit Hagrid's cabin to comfort him before Buckbeak's execution. Hermione finds Scabbers in a milk jug and returns him to Ron. After the trio leaves, Dumbledore, Fudge, a representative of the Committee for the Disposal of Dangerous Creatures, and the executioner, Walden McNair, arrive to execute Buckbeak. The chapter ends with Buckbeak's apparent execution. Chapter 17, Cat, Rat and Dog. In this chapter, Harry, Ron, and Hermione chase after Ron's rat, Scabbers, who has escaped from Ron's grasp. During their pursuit, they encounter a black dog and Crookshanks. The dog grabs Ron and pulls him through a passage under the Whomping Willow, breaking his leg in the process. Harry, Hermione, and Crookshanks follow the dog and Ron to the Shrieking Shack, where they discover that the dog is actually Sirius Black, an unregistered animagus. Black admits that he is responsible for the deaths of Harry's parents and explains that he has been wrongly accused of betraying them. Hermione accuses Lupin, who arrives shortly after, of being Black's accomplice and a werewolf. Lupin admits to being a werewolf but denies the charge of helping Black. He explains that he found out about the trio's location through the Marauders map, which he helped create, and that Peter Pettigrew, who had been living as Scabbers for years, was also an animagus and had been with them. The trio is shocked by these revelations and struggles to process the information. They learn that Sirius Black is innocent and that Peter Pettigrew is still alive. Chapter 18, Moony, Wormtail, Padfoot and Prongs. In this chapter, Lupin reveals the story of the Marauders to Harry, Ron, and Hermione. He explains that he was bitten as a child and became a werewolf every full moon. Despite this, Dumbledore welcomed him to Hogwarts and had precautions in place for his safety, such as the Shrieking Shack and the Whomping Willow. Lupin's friends, Sirius, Pettigrew, and James Potter, discovered his secret and became animagi to support him. Sirius became a dog to keep Lupin under control, James a stag, and Pettigrew a rat to disable the Willow. Lupin admits that he has not told Dumbledore about Sirius being an animagus because it would have meant admitting to having betrayed his trust and led 3 students into illegally becoming animagi. He also reveals that Snape's animosity towards him was because Sirius had played a trick on Snape that involved Lupin in his transformed form, but James saved him. At that moment, Snape arrives using Harry's invisibility cloak, which he had left at the foot of the Whomping Willow. Chapter 19, The Servant of Lord Voldemort. In this chapter, Snape arrives to arrest Lupin and Black, but Harry, Ron, and Hermione disarm him to hear the rest of the story. Sirius reveals that he broke out of Azkaban after seeing Pettigrew in his rat form in the Daily Prophet, and realizing that he was the real traitor who betrayed the Potters. Black was looking for Pettigrew to kill him, but Crookshanks helped him get into Gryffindor Tower by stealing Neville's list of passwords. Black and Lupin force Scabbers to turn into Pettigrew, who admits his guilt. Sirius explains that he was innocent all along and that he broke out of Azkaban to prevent Pettigrew from delivering Harry to Voldemort. He reveals that the knowledge of his innocence kept him sane in Azkaban, and he often transformed into a dog to avoid the effects of Dementors. Harry finally believes him and stops Lupin and Sirius from killing Pettigrew, saying that his father would not want his friends to become killers. The group takes Pettigrew back to the grounds to be handed to the Dementors. Chapter 20, The Dementor's Kiss. In this chapter, Sirius Black and Harry Potter have a heart-to-heart conversation where Sirius talks about his friendship with the Potters and reveals that he is Harry's godfather. He offers Harry a place to stay with him, which Harry happily agrees to. However, things take a turn for the worse when Lupin, who has turned into a werewolf due to the rising full moon and not taking his wolfsbane potion, allows Pettigrew to escape. Harry and Hermione pursue Lupin and Black, who has transformed into a dog, and after a serious injury to Black, Lupin runs off into the Forbidden Forest. The situation becomes even more dire when a group of Dementors arrive and attempt to perform the kiss on Harry, Hermione, and Black, draining their happiness and souls. However, a mysterious figure across the lake conjures a powerful Patronus in the shape of a stag, driving away the Dementors before Harry, Hermione, and Black faint. Chapter 21, Hermione's Secret. In this chapter, Harry and Hermione desperately try to save Sirius Black from being executed after he is wrongfully accused of murder. Despite Dumbledore believing their story, he is unable to save Black due to the overwhelming evidence against him. However, Dumbledore gives them cryptic instructions and Hermione reveals that she possesses a time turner. They use the device to travel 3 hours into the past to save Buckbeak from being executed and use him to free Black from West Tower. After rescuing Buckbeak, Harry and Hermione hide in the Forbidden Forest, waiting for the past selves to return from the Shrieking Shack. During this time, Harry confides in Hermione about seeing a figure across the lake and believes it was his father who conjured the Patronus. After witnessing himself, Hermione, and Black faint from Dementors, Harry realizes that he was the one who conjured the silver stag-shaped Patronus and not his father. Harry uses his Patronus to drive away the Dementors and, with the help of Hermione and Buckbeak, they rescue Sirius from West Tower. In the end, Harry and Sirius say their goodbyes, and Sirius flies away on Buckbeak. This chapter marks a turning point for Harry, who gains more insight into his family history and the power of his own magic. It also showcases the ingenuity and bravery of Harry and Hermione as they use the time turner to alter the course of events and save 2 lives. Chapter 22, Owl Post Again. In this chapter, the aftermath of the incident with Sirius Black unfolds. Harry and Hermione make it back to the hospital wing just in time for Dumbledore to magically lock the door, preventing Snape from attacking them. Snape accuses Harry of freeing Black, but Fudge assumes Snape is delirious and leaves to inform the Daily Prophet. He agrees to remove the Dementors from Hogwarts, as their attempt to perform the Dementor's kiss on Harry proved him to be more harmful than helpful. The next day, Harry learns that Lupin is resigning after Snape told the Slytherin house his secret. Harry tries to persuade Lupin to stay, but Lupin confirms Harry's suspicions that James' animagus form was a stag. Meanwhile, Hermione gives up the time turner, and Ron plans to invite Harry to the Quidditch World Cup with tickets from his father. On the train ride back to London, a tiny owl arrives from Black with a letter revealing that he is leaving Hogwarts to avoid causing any more problems. Black admits to buying Harry the Firebolt with Crookshanks' help and gives Harry permission to visit Hogsmeade. Ron also receives a gift from Black, a tiny owl he names Pigwidgeon. At the end of the chapter, Harry heads back to Little Whinging with Uncle Vernon, but he's happy knowing he has a godfather who cares for him. The chapter ends with Harry reflecting on the events of the year and the people who have supported him.